17-year-old Kate Moyer, a rising model, thought it was just another fun night out with friends. But when she accepted an invite to watch a movie with two strangers, she never expected the chilling turn her evening would take. How did a simple decision lead to a night of terror? Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking events that unfolded. You won't want to miss this. In 1992, in East Marietta, Georgia, 6-year-old Ricky lived with his family in a suburban home. His father, Fred, was a successful criminal defense attorney with his own practice, while his mother, Sarah, was a devoted stay-at-home mom. Ricky had a 4-year-old brother, Mike, and a dog named Jake. Sarah adored her children, always showing them love and understanding. On November 25, 1992, the family, including 2 cars, traveled to Florida for Thanksgiving with Sarah's large family. The gathering was a joyful reunion. Fred had to leave early for a meeting in Alabama, planning to return home separately. On November 29, as the family prepared for their return trip, everyone was in good spirits, looking forward to Christmas. Tragically, later that night, the police received a call about 2 young boys found on a stranger's porch, shivering and covered in blood. The boys desperately told the police their mom needed help. Officers rushed to the scene, finding a white car abandoned in a ditch. Inside, they discovered Sarah's body. The investigation revealed few clues. At first, it seemed like a burglary gone wrong, but there were no signs of forced entry. As detectives probed further, they found nothing valuable missing, leading them to suspect the crime was staged. Ricky and Mike had witnessed the terrifying events. Ricky bravely described how they were kidnapped from their home, and their mom was shot. The gunman was a black man, but Ricky couldn't give more details. The boys were now in danger as the only witnesses to the crime. The police contacted Fred, who was in Alabama, to inform him of Sarah's death. He was devastated. The boys stayed with relatives while Fred was out of town, struggling to comprehend the tragedy. Ricky, still processing the loss, asked if they could visit their mom in the hospital, only to learn she had passed away. The police couldn't understand why anyone would want to harm Sarah. They questioned Fred about his work, considering if any of his clients or business partners could be involved. However, no leads emerged. Fred described his marriage to Sarah as perfect, but soon suspicions turned towards him. Sarah had confided in her sister about her fears for their family. Fred was often absent, and Sarah became increasingly worried about his work. In 1989, Ricky found a gun in their car, frightening Sarah. Fred's controlling and abusive behavior put the whole family in danger. As investigators continued their work, the family struggled with the loss of Sarah and the uncertainties surrounding her death. Sarah tried her best to keep a peaceful environment at home for her 2 boys, Ricky and Mike. Despite Fred's frequent absences, she suspected he was having an affair. She wanted a divorce, but was worried Fred would take the kids away. Determined to protect them, Sarah hired a private investigator who confirmed Fred was cheating. Sarah then decided to search Fred's office, a place he had always forbidden her to enter. There, she found incriminating documents that proved Fred was involved in illegal activities. Sarah shared her discovery with her sister, Chrissy, giving her the documents as a safeguard. She told Chrissy to hand them over to the police if anything ever happened to her. Tragically, after Sarah's death, Chrissy took the documents to the detectives, revealing that Fred was already under FBI investigation for money laundering. However, these documents didn't directly link Fred to Sarah's murder, leaving the police with no solid evidence. Fred, who now had custody of Ricky and Mike, continued to live under a cloud of suspicion. The boys were terrified, constantly worrying that someone might come for them again. Meanwhile, Sarah's family, led by her father, John, rallied together, determined to uncover the truth and ensure the boys' safety. A month after the tragedy, a woman contacted the police, revealing that her brother, Curtis Ruhr, had confessed to killing a woman. Curtis, a drug addict with a criminal past, was arrested and admitted to the murder. However, he claimed he was hired by a man named Eddie Lawrence, who had paid him $5,000 for the job. Lawrence was arrested the same day, but refused to talk. The police discovered that Lawrence and Fred were business partners, a fact Fred had never mentioned during his interrogation. They also learned Fred had taken out 3 life insurance policies on Sarah, totaling $1.75 million, raising further suspicions. With Fred still having custody of the kids, the situation became even more urgent. The children were scared, and the police feared for their safety. On December 24, 1992, Fred and the boys were in Florida for Christmas. When Sarah's father, John, checked on Fred at the motel, he found him unconscious, an apparent suicide attempt. Fred was rushed to the hospital and survived. Shortly after, he held a press conference denying any involvement in Sarah's murder and expressing his grief. Months later, in July 1993, Eddie Lawrence finally cooperated with the police, confessing that Fred had hired him to kill Sarah because she knew too much about his illegal activities. Lawrence admitted he couldn't go through with it, so he hired Curtis Ruhr to carry out the plan. Lawrence even revealed that Fred dismissed the idea of divorce, saying it wouldn't keep Sarah quiet, and callously remarked that their young sons would get over it. With Lawrence's confession, the police had enough evidence to arrest Fred. They carefully planned the arrest, knowing the children's safety was at risk. On August 25, 1993, posing as journalists, the police lured Fred outside his mother's condo in West Palm Beach, Florida. Once he stepped out, they arrested him, ensuring the boys were safe. With Fred, Lawrence, and Ruhr behind bars, the case moved towards trial. In 1995, each faced separate trials. Ruhr tried to argue that Sarah's death was accidental, but the prosecution relied on Ricky's testimony to ensure justice was served. On November 29, 1992, at around 10 p.m., Sarah had pulled into the driveway of their Atlanta home, unaware of the tragic events that would follow. 17-year-old Kate Moyer, a rising model, thought it was just another fun night out with friends. But when she accepted an invite to watch a movie with 2 strangers, she never expected the chilling turn her evening would take. How did a simple decision lead to a night of terror? Mike was asleep in the back seat when they arrived home. Sarah, wanting to let him rest, got Ricky and their dog Jake out of the car first. As they entered the house, a man with a gun suddenly appeared, ordering them back outside. Sarah, scared but compliant, obeyed his commands while pleading for their safety. The attacker kicked the dog, causing Sarah even more fear. The man forced Sarah into the driver's seat with Ricky next to her, while he sat in the back with Mike, who remained asleep. Sarah saw the gun pointed at her in the rearview mirror. Despite her pleas, the attacker gave directions as she drove, and the situation grew more dire. The drive lasted only about 10 to 15 minutes, taking them to a dark, unlit road near the boys' elementary school. The attacker then shot Sarah, and Ricky, in shock, described the scene as chaotic and frightening. After the shot, the car rolled into a ditch, and Ricky, disoriented, remembered his mother's lessons about safety and turned off the car. He tried to wake Sarah, thinking she was just hurt and needed help, not yet understanding the gravity of the situation. Ricky then helped his little brother Mike out of the car, and the 2 boys, covered in blood, ran to a nearby house for help. A man at the house called the police immediately upon seeing them. On February 27, 1995, 8-year-old Ricky testified in court against the man who killed his mother. His testimony was crucial, describing the events clearly despite his young age. When questioned about his memory, Ricky confidently compared it to remembering a significant life event, like hitting a home run, asserting that some memories never fade. Ricky's testimony played a key role in securing a life sentence without parole for Curtis Ruhr. 2 years later, during Fred Tokar's trial, Ricky didn't have to face his father in court, but his testimony was read to the jury. The jury found beyond a reasonable doubt that Fred Tokars had orchestrated the murder of his wife, Sarah. Fred Tokars and Eddie Lawrence were both sentenced to life in prison. After Fred's arrest, Ricky and Mike moved in with the Briscoe family, where Sarah's parents raised them with love. The boys no longer have a relationship with their father. Ricky, now an adult, has not spoken to his father since he was found guilty and does not intend to. He reflects that if he were in his father's position, he would spend the rest of his life seeking forgiveness, but Fred has not done so. Ricky's mother, Ashley, also expressed that she does not forgive Fred and likely never will. Despite the trauma, Ricky has chosen not to let his father control his life. He cherishes the memory of his mother, who, despite the tragic end, succeeded in protecting her children from her husband. Ricky's family continues to honor Sarah's memory by maintaining the traditions she loved, finding peace and joy in their lives. Ricky pursued a career dedicated to helping others, starting as a lifeguard and then working as an EMT. He later followed his passions, working in the surfing industry and enjoying water sports, although he will never forget the events that took his mother from him. Ricky has moved on to live a fulfilling life surrounded by loved ones. He refuses to let his past define him and focuses on the present and future, valuing his experiences and relationships. Kate Moyer's story serves as a stark reminder that even the most ordinary nights can take unexpected and terrifying turns. Always be mindful of your surroundings and trust your instincts. Thank you for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more true crime stories. Stay safe, everyone.